how exactly have I been able to live my life to the fullest, go out, enjoy time with my friends, go traveling, etc. without having any kind of income for the past 6 months? Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Viola. I am currently a digital nomad, travelling the world whilst working remotely and currently based in Lisbon. I quit my job more than 6 months ago, and ever since then I've got quite a lot of questions from you on Instagram about how I'm funding my lifestyle, because I'm still going out, I'm still doing the things I want, I'm still able to travel, and how I'm able to do that with absolutely zero income. Just to add a disclaimer at the beginning of this video, I just want to make it very clear and to be very transparent with you that although I create videos on YouTube and content on Instagram, I do not make enough money to live on. Absolutely not. I rarely take sponsorships. If you've been a long-term subscriber, you'll know. I just want to be very, very clear with that, because I know a lot of people assume because I have a platform I'm earning quite a lot of money, or at least enough money to sustain myself, but I can assure you that that really is not the case. So by sharing my experience and by sharing my tips and advice, I hope that it will help, because everything that I do is something that you can do too. I'm not going to go in depth in this video about my specific budgeting tips and tricks, because I already made a video about that last year, and I'll leave the link up here and down below. That lists all of my tips and advice for how I actually save money and budget, but I'll share my main pieces of advice, talk more about my experience, and answer some of your questions. How exactly have I been able to live my life to the fullest, go out, enjoy time with my friends, go traveling, etc. without having any kind of income for the past 6 months? The answer is savings. I heavily save. I've spoken about this in pretty much all of my budgeting videos I think I've ever done on this channel, is that I save a lot of my money. I save a lot of my income when I do have a job, and that allows me to then take X amount of time off if I want to, because I have that money saved. I've spoken before about having an emergency fund, and this is the saving pot that I'm talking about that has allowed me to fund my lifestyle for the past 6 months. And that is the number one thing that I think everyone who has an income should have. And yes, while strictly speaking I have not used it for emergency purposes, I have chosen to use that money because I know that that money is what I wanted to use it for, and I was well aware that if I burnt through this money in this pot that I had, that it would be gone, and that was it. I consciously made that choice too, because I knew that I wanted this time off for myself, and I knew that I could then make money back when I eventually start applying for new jobs. That is the short answer. If you want to wait and hear more about my process, then continue watching, but if that's all you wanted to hear, then you can click off this video now. This emergency fund, or this pot of money, is an amount of your income, a percentage of your income that I would recommend you save away, and you should ideally aim to save between 3 and 6 months of living costs, if not more if you can, just because you never know when something's going to come up. Ever since I have worked and earned money post-university, I have always saved a big portion of my income. Many of you know, and I've said it again many times, that a big priority of mine is to travel. So a large proportion of my income goes towards travel. Figure out what your priorities are. Everyone is going to have their own different priorities. Aside from travel, I also have other saving pots. So travel is the biggest one for me. Then I save for an emergency fund, which is what I have mainly been living from for the past 6 months. The two main sources of money that have sustained my lifestyle for the past 6 months are, as I say, my emergency fund and my travel pot fund. Since I've been living off my emergency fund, which I know has X amount in, I know how much my lifestyle costs. And so when I've saved this money in my emergency fund for monthly costs, that amount has still allowed me to sustain the lifestyle that I have when I work, which includes going out for meals. It includes going to events. So the money that I had in that fund was enough for me to still go and do those activities, if that makes sense. Because I know that was a question that quite a few people were talking about, how I'm still able to go and do fun things when I'm living on my savings. When shouldn't I be being more frugal? Now, I think I should talk a bit about my travel fund, because I get even friends who know me in real life asking me how I'm able to travel so much, especially when I haven't been working for quite a long time. And the answer is because travel is so important to me. Even at university, after my gap year, any money that I earned at university was also saved towards travel. So I started saving for my travel fund well before I started saving for these other pots once I started working post-university. And I've always had a pot of money that is set aside for travel. Every time I want to do a travel trip, I use money from that account. It's a completely separate account. It's not the account that I use for my living expenses. It's not the account that I use for anything else. It's just for traveling, like strictly only the expenses it can be used for is for traveling abroad. That is it. So if I'm buying flights, if I'm paying for accommodation, activities, etc. when I'm abroad, it comes from that account. And that is the simple answer as to how I can travel so much, because I have a separate account that I put regular money into when I'm working that has just built up and accumulated over the years. I don't really have to worry too much about the amount that's in there because it's always replenished. And so generally speaking, I have enough to do trips if I want to do them. And so when I do go traveling, I've used money from that account, and I haven't used my savings from like my emergency fund or anything, or the normal money that I would use for my normal weekly living expenses. I use the money from my travel savings account. I hope that makes sense. That is a short answer, and if you want me to talk more in detail about how I manage my finances and things, then just drop a comment below and I'm more than happy to do that. If you really want to travel as well, I would recommend either opening up a new bank account or creating a new pot or some kind of account where all the money that's in that account is strictly for travel only. Oh, another thing I wanted to add as well about how I can travel is that I have a credit card. Again, I've spoken about this in more detail on my other video that is linked below. My credit card, it gives me air miles for every pound that I spend. So for every pound I spend, I get 1 air mile, and that can be converted and I can get really cheap flights that way. So if you are interested in traveling as well, I would recommend getting a credit card that gives you travel perks. My one has allowed me to travel to so many places incredibly cheaply, and I really enjoy having my credit card because I'm also building up my credit score. So I will leave a link in the description below to the one that I have as well. Now I'm just going to answer a few questions that were sent to me on Instagram. Are you more focused on saving for the future, living in the now, or both? I would say I am probably more focused on living in the now. Although I say that I save a lot, I'm not so obsessed with saving that I'm putting away so much money to use in the future that I'm not able to enjoy my life now. I want to be able to enjoy my life now. I want to be able to go and experience these things and travel and do all of these things while I'm still young and capable. I don't want to assume that I'm going to have X number of years in front of me to be able to do these things, so I don't want to be so fixated on saving for the future because your future is not guaranteed. I'm more focused on the now and enjoying the experiences in the now while I can, but I'm also still conscious and aware that I do need to save something for the future, so I am, although it's significantly less than what I'm saving for the now. The next question is, do you work full-time while traveling? If no, do you think you would have been able to? So when I went traveling in Thailand and Sri Lanka for 3.5 months, I was working full-time. You can see that in the vlogs. I was working a normal 9 to 5, full-time for a company. I'm not self-employed. So yeah, I was working full-time. It was intense, I'll tell you that, and I think I'm going to do a video on what it's really like being a digital nomad, because I don't think it's for everyone. But yeah, I know I can do it and I enjoy doing it, and yeah, I was working full-time whilst traveling. Do you have a pension? Again, good question, because I have not ever had a traditional job where the employer opens a pension for you. I've just had 2 jobs post-graduation, but I have actually recently opened a pension of my own as a self-employed person. It's been, yeah, a bit stressful on that end, but I am saving for a pension and I have now got one. That's it. I hope this video was useful and helped you understand how I've been living with no income for the past 6 months. Very simple again, to just summarize, I've been using my savings, primarily my emergency fund for my living expenses and my travel fund for all of the travel that I've been doing. If you want to be able to have X months off and be able to sustain yourself and do all the traveling and things you want to do, then I would highly recommend setting up an emergency fund and a travel fund if traveling is your priority, because it's definitely doable. It takes time to build up those accounts so that they have enough funds in them, but you can definitely do it. If you're looking for more budgeting tips and advice for how to save money in your 20s, then check out the video I made last year sharing all of my tips and tricks for saving money. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any more video requests or money related video requests, then let me know in the comment section below. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!